Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. That's right, I'm doing another tier list. Can you believe it? I've never done such a thing. Actually, I've done it quite a few times, but this one's different because I'm not focusing on a single franchise. I'm focusing on a genre. Yeah, that's right. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the most iconic horror villains. Specifically, I did limit it down to villains / creatures or entities as well that have been part of a film or television show type thing. So no internet, no cryptids. We're looking specifically at movie villains with maybe a few television villains as well, but that's what we're looking at. But we need to get started, and we're gonna start with let's start with the kind of a bad one. We're gonna start with the Hook guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer. Those movies, Freddie Prinze Jr. and what's her name? I mean, the movies are really only the first one is good in for generally speaking. But I do think that the Hook guy is fine, but I'm probably gonna put him in D because I don't really care that much about him. But I mean, he's all right. He's okay. All right, let's get a big one out. Let's go ahead and rank Alien from Alien and Aliens and the other Alien movies. This is just Alien. It's Alien, everyone knows Alien. I think Alien is probably, I guess I should probably just say Xenomorph instead of Alien, but the Xenomorph is probably S tier. I think it probably has to be S tier. All right, here's a little bit of old school charm. Let's take a look at the Birds from the movie The Birds. This is a really fun movie. It's an old Hitchcock film, but truly, The Birds is just an actually good watch. You get horror stories of Birdemic that's so bad it's good maybe, but The Birds is generally just an enjoyable film, and somehow The Birds actually managed to be threatening a little bit. So I think The Birds would probably be. Though I think they're mostly carried by the fact that I enjoy the movie. All right, what about the Babadook? The good old allegory demon monster himself. The Babadook is a pretty good one. The movie's all right. I think the design is kind of it's weird, but in a good way. And it's definitely creepy. But I don't know where I want to put the Babadook. I'm kind of feeling B. I don't know why I'm feeling B, but I'm just kind of feeling B for Babadook. All right, let's go ahead and throw in good old Victor Crowley from the Hatchet franchise. I think Victor Crowley is fun. I don't necessarily think he's the best villain. I think that he is fun though. I think I might just put Victor Crowley in C. He did kind of bring back slasher movies a little bit in a fun way, so I appreciate that about him. I like that he calls out for his daddy. I mean, he's played by fucking Kane Hodder, so I might have to put you in B as well, but I'm worried about B being too thick. So I'm going to put you in B for now. All right, here we have the Anaconda from Anaconda, the Anaconda movies. That's this one. I think Anaconda's C tier. It's a big snake. I don't have anything against monster, creature, animal movies, but ultimately this is just a big snake, and they're kind of silly, kind of goofy, but I mean, I like it, but it's not the best. All right, here we have Carrietta White, and I think Carrie's a fun one. I think that the book is pretty good. The movies are fine. Carrie's probably a B tier. I think I'd put Carrie maybe right there. All right, this is Mama from Barbarian, and I think that she's fine. I think that she's creepy. She does her job, but ultimately, I think that is probably a C tier villain monster. Ultimately, she isn't the true villain of the movie, but I think that she's probably good in C tier. All right, let's go ahead and throw an inanimate object in here with Annabelle. Annabelle is just a haunted doll. This is specifically the Annabelle from The Conjuring. franchise. She's has 3 of her own movies for some reason. Annabelle is fine. Her movies are fine. I think she's probably C tier, but I don't know. She's like not that compelling because she doesn't actually do anything herself. She's just kind of like a vessel for ghosts to fuck with people. So yeah, I think just C tier. All right, let's get a solid A tier in here with the Candyman. Candyman is a great villain, a great movie. I love his little hook, his bee motif, his bees and whatnot. I really like the Candyman. He's fun. He's kind of a tragic villain, but I like him, so he's gonna go in A tier. All right, here's, I forget what her name is, but the orphan from The Orphan. This is a really good movie. I also like the sequel. Isabelle Fuhrman plays her. I think that she's a pretty good villain. I don't know if she's quite A tier, but I do think she's B tier, and I'd probably put her at the top of B tier. All right, here we have Belial from Basket Case. If you don't know what the Basket Case movies are, please watch them. They're hilarious B movies, and I really love them. And Belial is truly just like such a good little guy, such a good little villain. I'm a big fan of Belial. Do I want to put him in A tier? I mean, that would be my bias showing full-heartedly. You know what? This is my list. I can put him in A tier. All right, what about Billy the Puppet, aka Jigsaw? I think I'm going to go ahead and put Jigsaw also in A tier. I think Billy is a very iconic like character. Like his design is very iconic. The Saw movies are ridiculous, but they're great soap operas of a movie franchise. So I am going to put Billy the Puppet, aka Jigsaw, in A tier. But he's not a killer. Don't get that wrong. He's not a killer, all right? All right, Babyface from Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day. Well, actually, is that the same one? I don't remember if he's in To You. It's obviously goofy. It's goofy on purpose because it is a comedy horror. But I think Babyface is probably a C tier. All right, good old Cujo. I always feel bad because Cujo is literally just a dog that has like rabies or some shit. And it's a dog, so I love it. And I'm like, oh, poor baby. Poor puppy. You got sick and you're not feeling good. It's okay if you kill someone. That's all right. I think Cujo probably is C tier, but I am going to put Cujo up closer towards the top because it's a dog and I want the dog to feel special. All right, let's go ahead and throw in the nun. This is also just like Valak, I think is her name. This is just the demon from The Conjuring. I think the first movie, maybe the second. This is Valak, the nun. She's also has her own 2 movies. But honestly, I don't like the nun movies. I think the Conjuring movie is like, okay, it's fine. I think the design, her design is creepy, but I don't really think she does anything in the movies that I'm like, oh yeah, what a cool villain. I'm mostly just like, oh, you have a good look, good aesthetic, I guess, but I'm gonna put Valak in C tier or D tier. Sorry. All right, let's get one of the classics in there with The Invisible Man. And with these classics, I am kind of like, I'm not picking a specific version of them. Like if there's a future or more modern version of the character like The Invisible Man has, I am going to be considering that in how I rate them. I think The Invisible Man is kind of fun. I don't know if I think he's that special. I mean, really, he's just kind of a bastard that got turned invisible. And I think The Invisible Man is probably D tier as well. All right, let's go ahead and get a Stranger Things monster in here with the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon is probably still the most iconic monster or villain from Stranger Things. I think that the Demogorgon is a really fun one because it is a monster. Some of the other ones are more like intelligent, but this one is straight up just basically a creature or an animal, and I like that about it. I think the Demogorgon is going to be a B tier monster above Victor Crowley. All right, let's go ahead and get the American Psycho in here. I gotta be fully honest with you, I don't remember his name. Ultimately, this is a great movie because it is very much a critique of American capitalism and culture and that thing. I don't like that some fucking finance bros and shit are like, oh yeah, he's like totally me and I'm proud of that. It's like, no, that's the opposite of what the point being made in the movie is. But I do like him. He's good. He's a capitalist. I'm gonna put him in C tier. though, just because of the way that he's been adopted, I think. All right, this is the demon Pazuzu, I think, from The Exorcist. Yeah, that's what they look like. I mean, the Exorcist movie is good. The rest of the movies are fine. Ultimately, this form of them as we know it is not like that prevalent, and ultimately I do think like the exorcism itself is the most iconic part of it, not necessarily the demon behind it. I think probably B tier. All right, let's go ahead and put Rexy from Jurassic Park in here. Rexy, this is weird to say, but a Tyrannosaurus Rex is somehow one of the best characters in movies somehow, and that's that. I don't feel bad about saying that. Rexy is definitely A tier. She's great, and Jurassic Park is one of the best movies ever made, I think, at least in my opinion. So Rexy's gonna be up there. All right, this is Ralph Fiennes as the Red Dragon or the Tooth Fairy from I don't actually know what specific movie this is from. I've read the book. I think that he is a very intriguing character. He often gets overshadowed by Hannibal Lecter, but I do think that the Tooth Fairy is a very fun villain, and I really like his story. But ultimately, I think it does have to be C tier because he's not that iconic. He's not that memorable. I'll go ahead and put him up here though. Freddy Fazbear. Yes, Freddy Fazbear got a movie, so I get to include Freddy Fazbear. Ultimately, this is my hot take. I don't think the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's movie are that good. Mostly because I think they look great, but you can tell that they're limited in like their movement and what they can do. So sadly, I am gonna put Freddy in C tier, and I hope that they get better, that they're improved upon in the sequels to come. But I mean, it's Freddy, so Freddy's gotta be in here, you know. Let's go ahead and put Chucky in here, and Chucky is A tier, you guessed it. I love Chucky. I love the Child's Play franchise. Chucky is a great villain, very iconic, and I certainly would have to put Chucky in S tier. I wouldn't be able to deal with myself if I didn't. All right, Brundlefly. AKA the fly monster that that Jeff Goldblum turns into in The Fly. He's funny, he's silly, he's goofy, but probably D tier. I hate to do it, but I think I love the movie. It's Jeff Goldblum really makes me love this movie, but I think because of how goofy it is, I am gonna put him in E tier. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna put Valak the Nun in E tier because I don't like the movies. Just to get some more spread out stuff here. So that's what I'm feeling. All right, so for this one, I am counting The Family from Get Out, the family. I think that this is a beautiful movie and I really enjoy it. It's hard because I'm rating like a collective, like a group of people versus individual monsters and creatures. But I do think that The Family is like when people think of Get Out, I don't really think that they're specifically picturing the family members, which is why I'm going to rank this one lower. It's not even really a memorable collective. Like the message is very clear and very good and very memorable, but I don't know if the family themselves are that special. Let's go ahead and throw a foreign film in here, When Evil Lurks. This is, I'm just going to say, I don't know what they call it in this movie, but like the zombie possession type thing that ends up being like a whole thing. And I think it's supposed to be like one entity, basically. This is a really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think that the rules behind the creatures are very, very fun and very interesting. As like a villain, I don't know if it's that memorable, so I think I'm just gonna keep that in B tier. All right, here's Daemon maybe from Hereditary. Once again, I think this kind of has the same issue where, Hereditary is a great horror movie and I love it a lot and it's very impactful for a lot of reasons, but I don't think the entity, the demon, is what makes it impactful. I don't think that it really matters that much. So ultimately, I do think I'm going to go ahead and put the demon specifically. Honestly, I might put you in D tier. All right, we're going to go ahead and rank death from Final Destination, or really just whatever it is that causes people to die in Final Destination. I think the Final Destination movies are really fun watches. This is another hard one to rank because it's like there is no like personification of this being unless you think prescribe to the theory that Tony Todd is the personification of death, which I don't think he's meant to be. C tier. Mostly because I think that the deaths that this being whatever comes up with are very fun and very creative, so I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and throw critters on the list. You know, the critters, they're the little puffballs. They're fine. I think they're going to go in D tier. They are pretty classic. They are pretty iconic. They're just not like my favorite thing ever. I do think it's hilarious when they form into like a big ball. But other than that, it's like, yeah, I mean, they're just little guys and, you know, they're there. And then in a similar vein, we have Gremlins. I think the Gremlins are a little more interesting to me because of how they work and their species, because you have, I forget what his name is, but the good one, and then all the ones that are bad. And I think that they're a little more interesting because they also tend to have more individual personalities per gremlin. So I do think I like the Gremlins more, but I will probably put them at the top of D tier maybe. This is one you've been waiting for, folks. That's right. It's time for the Grimcutty. You guys know the Grimcutty? Yeah, so this is a Hulu movie, I believe. I believe it's on Hulu. I did watch this one, and I was expecting it to be trash. It was surprisingly enjoyable. I actually did enjoy the Grimcutty movie. However, let's be honest, this design looks like some weird like AI created monster. So I'm going to put Grimcutty down in E tier. The movie itself, surprisingly enjoyable, and I wouldn't not recommend you watch it. So I don't know. I'm going to put the Grimcutty down here. This is mostly for my one friend, Tusk. Yeah. And don't worry, I got your back on this one. Tusk is going to go in F tier. You're welcome. That one's for you. All right, I think we haven't done kind of like a big shot, big hitter in a little bit. So let's go ahead and throw Pennywise up here. Pennywise, of course, has been played by multiple people. I think that Bill Skarsgård does a really good job. I think Tim Curry also does a good job. But I do really like Pennywise. I like Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise a lot. And I think Pennywise is honestly A tier. All right, most people aren't going to know this one. This is I'm just going to say the crocodiles from Crawl, or are they alligators? Crawl is one of those basically Jaws movies that just was like, let's make an animal the bad one. It's a creature movie. But honestly, Crawl was a very enjoyable movie. I quite liked it. Sometimes I go into these movies thinking they're going to be like bad, but Crawl was good. I enjoyed it. And I actually like, there was a lot of good tension, and the crocodiles, alligators, whatever they are, supplied some good moments, but ultimately, sadly, they're not that iconic. So I'm going to put them in E tier, but I do honestly believe that they are pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and throw, what's her name? I forget what her name is. I'm sorry. From Sleepaway Camp. It's a good, fun movie, and she's pretty iconic. I like her. She's a camp counselor, basically, that is very by the books and will take anyone out that doesn't follow the rules, isn't by the books. And I quite enjoyed Sleepaway Camp, and I forget what her name is, but I like her character quite a bit. So I'm going to put her in... I think C tier. All right, let's actually put in Hannibal Lecter here. Now, again, I mostly just know Hannibal Lecter from the books, but I do know that Hannibal Lecter is played fairly well in several of the movies, and I like Hannibal Lecter. I think he's fun. I do think I'm just going to put him down with the Tooth Fairy. I guess I'll put him above the Tooth Fairy because he is the one that people think about. He's the one that people remember, but genuinely, I think I do like the Tooth Fairy more. All right, the Killer Clowns from Killer Clowns in Outer Space. I quite enjoy the Killer Clowns. I mean, their designs are impeccable. Like, you can't deny that the designs that went into making them is incredible, because it is. I think the clowns from Killer Space are A tier. You know what, I'll put them next to Pennywise so the clowns can be together. I think they're just great. I think they're funny. I think it's a good movie. And I think their designs are like phenomenal. Let's go ahead and get another Stranger Things villain here with the Mind Flayer, which is mostly, I think, season 3. The Mind Flayer, I think, is a very interesting villain. I like that it's kind of like, as much as I was like, oh, I don't like the intelligent ones, I do think the Mind Flayer is fun because it's more of like a hive mind intelligence that I do find very compelling. However, I think the Mind Flayer of like the Stranger Things villains, monsters, is kind of like one of the more forgettable ones. Not necessarily to me, but I think in general. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Mind Flayer in C tier. And while I'm here, I think I should probably just go ahead and move some of these guys down to D tier. Do I feel bad about it? Yes, but I think that's where they should be. Norman Bates, the Psycho, not the American Psycho, the Psycho. Psycho is a actually very enjoyable movie. It's again a very like a classic Hitchcock movie, but I do quite enjoy Psycho, and I think Norman Bates is a fun character. I don't know if he's like the best, but I think that he's probably a solid B tier, and I'd probably put him along the likes of Carrie White. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the creatures from The Descent on here, and unfortunately, I don't really think that the creatures are what makes The Descent a great movie. So this is another case where it's like, yeah, they're still good, but ultimately they're not what makes the movie. So I think that the creatures from The Descent are probably C tier. All right, let's go ahead and throw Godzilla up here. Godzilla is an absolute icon. Godzilla isn't necessarily strictly horror, but I do think that Godzilla is kind of generally a horror monster, horror villain. And so I'm going to go ahead and put Godzilla up here. And I think Godzilla deserves to be A tier, just because it's Godzilla. It's probably one of the most well-known like monsters of all time. All right, let's go ahead and throw a goofy one in here. Jack Frost from the Jack Frost movies. I think Jack Frost's design is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he's meant to be made of real snow, and he looks like a cheap Christmas decoration. He is kind of fun. He's kind of quippy, but Jack Frost is gonna go in E tier. Sorry, Jack. I'm kind of not sorry. Let's go and throw a recent icon, probably one of the most recent actual, like, this is one of like the horror villains that is like made a face for himself, and that is Art the Clown from Terrifier. Here's the thing. I don't think all the movies are great. I did enjoy Terrifier 3 quite a bit. Genuinely, I think Art is what makes the movies like a thing. If it weren't for Art, it wouldn't really be that much of a thing. And he's an icon as well. I think Art has somehow snuck himself up into A tier. I truly do. I just have three sets of clowns. But I truly believe that Art is a great new icon in horror, and I'm glad that it's like an independent creator that made him, and it really brings you back to like the feel of what horror kind of used to be, and so I enjoy that very much about him. Let's go ahead and put a shark in here. This is the Meg from The Meg. I mean, it's the Meg. It's not as iconic, but having an absolutely giant megalodon, bigger even than I think they would actually have been in real life, is fun. And I think the first movie is fun. And I think The Meg is probably, sadly, I think a D tier. But I do quite like The Meg. So I'm gonna go ahead and put The Meg higher on the list. Or in the middle, I guess. You know what this list is missing? It's missing some iconic women. And what's a more iconic woman in horror than Jennifer from Jennifer's Body? I mean, I recently watched this movie, and it truly is like a really good movie. And I think that she is going to be the first woman to reach A tier status. It's weird because the movie wasn't really well received when it came out, but I think it has truly become a cult classic, and it is a really good movie, and Megan Fox does a really good job playing her, and I think she's a great villain as well. So it's just I'm proud to put her here. All right, here's what's his name? The eye hand guy from Pan's Labyrinth. This is just a very cool design, a very monster design, and I'm gonna go ahead and put you right above the Demogorgon. Because honestly, what is the Demogorgon if not an eyeless guy from Pan's Labyrinth, you know? All right, now it's time for a car. Were you expecting that? All right, we have Christine, the killer car. This is a Stephen King novel adapted into a movie, and I think it's hilarious, but I think I do have to put Christine in E tier because it's a fucking car. All right, let's do another collective. We're gonna rank the cult from Midsommar. I truly think that this is also another really good movie. Ari Aster knocking it out of the park once again. And truly, unlike some of these other ones where like the collective or the entity isn't what I think kind of makes the movie, I think that this one kind of is, because the cult is what makes the movie. And so I think that this one I am more inclined to rate higher. And I think I'd probably rank the cult right there actually. All right, this is the demon from Sinister. Well, I'm going to say Sinister, the first movie, is quite good, and for some reason continues to rank like one of the scariest movies of all time. I think the design's fairly okay. It's fairly fun, but ultimately I don't think you're that special. I mean, I think you're cool, but I think I'm going to have to keep you in C tier more than likely. It's time to get another big hitter in here. And by that I mean another classic. Frankenstein. Everyone knows well, it's Frankenstein's monster. I know. Listen, I understand. Once again, this is one that I mostly know from the book because I read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and I loved that book, and the character is quite good, and the movie's fairly good as well. And I think Frankenstein's monster is truly an icon of horror, and I'm gonna go ahead and put him in B tier. Now we have what might be the most derisive monster, and that is the Ginger Dead Man. You know, the Ginger Dead Man is, I think, probably the most derisive villain there is. And as much as I want to rank him highly because of his derisiveness, I am gonna go ahead and put the Ginger Dead Man down in E tier. I mean, come on, it's goofy. It's goofy. All right, let's go ahead and do another classic with the Wolfman. I think the Wolfman is probably my least favorite of the classic horror icons. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Wolfman down in D tier. I'll put him below the Invisible Man though. I just don't think he's that interesting to me. I think he's okay for sure, but I don't know. He's all right. Oh, big shot coming right up. We have the Bye Bye Man. Y'all remember the Bye Bye Man? Of course you do. It's the Bye Bye Man. It's a movie, and the Bye Bye Man truly has what could have been interesting qualities, but then they just don't really use those qualities. So the Bye Bye Man is unfortunately going to go in F tier. The movie I don't think is terrible. It's just not great. The actual Bye Bye Man himself, absolutely F tier. All right, guys, it's time for my bias to truly show. Pinhead, S tier. Hold on, give me a second. Chatterer, S tier. Deep Throat, A tier. And where's the other one? Butterball. Butterball, where are you? And Butterball also A tier. Pinhead and Chatterer are two of my favorite Cenobites horror villains of all time. Chatterer is fully like truly just like a selfish thing that is truly my own bias. I just really fucking love Chatterer. I think that these two are also great. I think all the Cenobites from the first movie are great. There are Cenobites later in the franchise that are also good, but I'm just ranking the main four as I see it. And before you come at me for not putting multiple villains from each movie like I only did Freddy, it's my list. I can do what I want. And ultimately, I feel like shut up. All right, let's go ahead and do a fun little duo. Let's go ahead and do Jack Nicholson. Is that what his name is? Or is that the actor? From The Shining, of course. Probably, one of the most well-known horror movies of all time. And I think probably A tier, right? I think you have to be. And then also, what's her name? Again, I don't know her name. This is the main villain, the main lady from Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, directed by Mike Flanagan, my goat. I think she truly does a phenomenal performance, and I truly love the movie, so they're both going in A tier. All right, let's go ahead and get the actual real shark on this list up in here, and that is Bruce from Jaws. A great movie, a classic, really the definition setter of a creature movie. Ultimately, Bruce is just a great white shark. He is fairly large. He is very powerful. He's basically unkillable. But I do think that he like genuinely has like a personification that sets him apart from like the Anaconda from Anaconda or the Meg from the Meg. And maybe it's just because of like his scars or the way that you don't see him that much in the first movie. But truly, I think Jaws is gonna be like top of B tier for me. And you know what? I feel bad keeping Belial selfishly in A tier, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Belial down in B tier. B for Belial, B for Bruce, Belial, and Orphan. All right, this is the creature from A Quiet Place, the movies, not just the first one. This is the alien species, and I think that they're pretty cool. I think that their design is fun. I gotta be honest, it doesn't feel that original in this day and age. I feel like we've seen a lot of like weird head splitty open designs, but I do think that for the time it was pretty fun and pretty creative, and I do really like them. They're iconic. The fact that, you know, any sound can get you killed by these MFers. I think I'm probably gonna put them in C tier, but I do quite like them, so I'll go ahead and put them down here. All right, we have the titular species from Species. I forget what her name is. She is essentially the hot alien that kills people. That is, I think that's fair to say what people know her as. Again, I think the first movie is truly an enjoyable watch. It's not a good movie, I don't think. I would say it's a B movie for sure. But I do think it's truly enjoyable, and I had a lot of fun watching it. But I think that she herself is not like the best villain. She's pretty good, but I think she is probably the definition of D tier. Oh, okay. Yeah. I forgot. Sadako from Ring, and I guess the American versions as well. I think Ring quickly became like one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and I think that Sadako is probably actually gonna go in S tier for me. I think that she is truly iconic. Like, she doesn't have the most in-depth detailed of a design. It's truly just a girl in white, basically, with long, wet black hair that covers her face. But I truly think she is iconic, and I think she kind of deserves S tier. Let's go ahead and throw fucking Leppy Boy, the little shit, in here. Leppy Boy is truly a sight to behold, and he is one of the most fun, I think, horror villains. Truly, if you watch his movie, you're gonna have fun. Warwick Davis does a great job playing him. He's just such a charismatic, well, I guess, yeah, sure, charismatic villain. He's definitely more of like that B movie villain, but like truly takes it to another level. You know what? Fuck it. Leppy Boy can be C tier. All right, let's get one of these slashers in here. Michael Myers, Mikey My. I know people aren't going to really like me for saying this. I don't think Michael is the most interesting. I do love a good silent killer. I do think his mask and knife are iconic. When I think of silent killers, I more so think of Jason Voorhees. Michael is not the one that I think of. But I don't know, I also think that his movies are kind of boring, or at least they tend to be. So I don't love Michael, but I can't deny the fact that he is a horror icon, and he is one of the slashers of all time. And just because I don't like him as much doesn't mean I'm not going to rank him as highly. I think he probably deserves B tier at least. So I'm going to go ahead and put him, I'll put him up towards the top. I think he deserves it. I truly do. All right, let's get a modern classic. Pearl. Pearl is a great villain, very iconic. And I truly, truly enjoy Pearl, both from X and from Pearl. Mia Goth does a fantastic job portraying her, and I like that she's a complicated character. She's not just an outright killer. Like, yes, is she psychotic? Absolutely. But I like that there's story, that there's depth to her. I think she's probably A tier, but I'm going to go ahead and keep her high A tier. I think maybe right around here. Let's go ahead and get the people from Us, the others. I don't know how to refer to them. I don't remember what they're called, but the doppelgangers essentially from Us. I think that they're creepy, and I think that they're quite fun. Are they A tier? They might be. I'm thinking B tier. Yeah, but pretty high B tier for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get Beetlejuice in here. And full disclosure, I actually have not watched Beetlejuice yet. But I understand that Beetlejuice is an icon. He's one of the most recognizable horror characters. And I think that Beetlejuice is probably A tier. I think he deserves A tier. I'm probably going to keep him lower just because I haven't watched it myself personally, but just know he does deserve it. We've done one dinosaur, but let's get the other main dino from Jurassic Park, and that is the raptors. I'm just going to put them all collectively. They're kind of the more so the villain than Rexy is, especially in the first movie. And they are kind of well, I don't know. They're both pretty horror-like in the first movie, but I mean, the kitchen scene is iconic. And I think that the raptors also deserve to go in A tier. I think I'll probably keep them next to Rexy. I do like Rexy more. All right, let's go ahead and do the red-faced demon from Insidious. The red-faced demon, I have to be so honest with you, I do not think is good. I think the red-faced demon is the goofiest motherfucker I've ever seen. When this MFer showed his face on screen, I laughed out loud. I was like, is that supposed to be intimidating? So I don't find you intimidating at all, red-faced demon, and I think you're going to go in A tier. Honestly, I could put you in F tier. I'm going to put you in F tier. Let's get another one of my S tiers in here, and that is Ghostface. Absolutely love Ghostface. I think that Ghostface is probably, I think the Scream movies are probably my favorite horror franchise right next to Child's Play and Chucky. So I think that Ghostface is ultimately iconic and revived the genre a little bit in a sense. And I think the Ghostface mask is just absolutely phenomenal. I love the black cloak. It's just really good. And all the people behind the mask are, for the most part, great as well. So I just love them all. I think Ghostface absolutely deserves S tier. This is the plant from Little Shop of Horrors, and unfortunately, I've not seen Little Shop of Horrors yet. But I do know that the plant is iconic. I know that they're incredible, but I think I'm gonna put you in C tier just because I haven't seen it yet. And if I do watch it, that'll probably change. But for now, C tier. Let's go ahead and throw the main vampire from the Lost Boys. There are several of them. There's a group of them. I think the Lost Boys is like a fine movie. What's his name is a really good character in this movie and a phenomenal portrayal. You're kind of more like a C tier villain to me. You're not like that exciting. Now I put Chucky up here. Let's go ahead and get his lovely wife, Tiffany Valentine, in here, played by Jennifer Tilly, of course. And Tiffany Valentine is, of course, a great villain as well. I tend to think she's funnier than Chucky because Jennifer Tilly is just so hilarious. Such a fun performance always. I think realistically I'd probably put her in A tier because she's not as much of an icon as Chucky. So yeah, I'll go ahead and put her in A tier. But I do think that she's special and deserves to be here for sure. This is the doctor from Reanimator. If you haven't seen the Reanimator movies, they're pretty fun. They're pretty special. I don't know if he's like a villain, but he's definitely not morally good. The doctor from Reanimator is a very fun character, very fun part of the movie, but ultimately I do think you're probably C tier, right alongside Leprechaun. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead and do it. We're gonna get I forget what they call it, but the creature from Nope. And Nope is truly a great movie, and I love what this creature represents. It's truly like a special being, and its effects are great, its looks are great. I think it's a special creature for sure, and I'm really glad that Jordan Peele did a creature movie because he knocked it out of the park with Nope. I think it might be B tier. Certainly very good though. Like truly, I'm gonna put it above the Doppels from Us, actually. Now we got Sam from Trick or Treat. Sam is just a little guy, just a little fella, and I really like Trick or Treat, and I really like Sam. He's just a cutie patootie that does a little bit of murder here and there. Who can blame him though? Yeah, I'll put him in B tier. That feels fine. Let's get another modern icon with Megan. I think Megan, the movie, kind of nailed campy horror, and which is not easy to do. I think campy horror can oftentimes lean too far in one direction or the other and not end up being that good. But I think Megan nailed it, and I think Megan is truly like one of the most recent horror icons that truly deserves being an icon. And her performance is great. Her design is great. I think Megan certainly deserves to be up here. I'm going to put her in B tier. I think probably above Mikey My My. I'm even going to put her above the Orphan. I'm going to put Slappy from from Goosebumps in here. It's Slappy. He's a dummy. Don't tell him I said that. He wouldn't like that. He's kind of fun. I don't know. He does things. He likes to mess with stuff, but ultimately, I don't think he's that special. I think he's probably D tier. We're going to go ahead and put the creature from The Thing. It takes on all sorts of forms, so I just kind of got the poster for it. But the creature from The Thing is probably one of the best horror movies ever made. One of my favorites. The effects in this movie are great. The gore is great. The monster is really cool. And like, it's Among Us before Among Us. And that has to give us some points. But ultimately, it doesn't have like one confined being that's like really iconic or memorable. So I am going to go ahead and put it in A tier. But it is truly a great one. Another recent, the Talk to Me demon or whatever it is. I think they're mostly just a collective of ghosts, evil spirits or something. Talk to Me was another really great modern horror movie that kind of knocked it out of the park. It's an independent, or at least independent directors, essentially. Again, the problem with this one is that it's not really, the villain itself isn't that solidified, that confined, so it's kind of hard to rank as like an iconic monster or villain. So I think probably C tier, but it is like truly really good. All right, let's go ahead and do, this might be the last classic in my list, but Dracula, including like basically all forms of Dracula with this one. I think Dracula is ultimately a very interesting character, not just like specifically the character. I think he's interesting in how he's used and how Dracula has evolved to take shape and represent different things in society and culture and media. So I think that Dracula has kind of become this really unique monster that can take on forms that you don't really see everywhere. So I really like Dracula. I think Dracula is good. I'm gonna go ahead and say B tier. I think this was a kind of like a last minute decision for me to add, but I'm gonna have James McAvoy from Split, M. Night Shyamalan's Split. Oh, I should have put the beach from Old in here. That'd be really funny. I think James McAvoy does a really good performance here. I mean, I think James McAvoy is a great actor in general. I don't know, it's like an interesting character, and I think he's intimidating in Split. In Glass, he's not as unique. I think I'll put him in D tier though. I think he should be somewhat better on this list. So I'll go ahead and put him over here. Let's go ahead and get another one of the major horror icons, Freddy Krueger, in here. I think Freddy Krueger is a very fun villain. I think that his snarkiness, his quippiness are very enjoyable, and I do quite enjoy him. He's not like my favorite of the icons, right? I do think he's really good, but I'm even willing to say that I like Saw and Jigsaw and Candyman more than him. Hell, I even like the dinosaurs more than him. I think I'm gonna finally split up the clowns and put him in between right after Pennywise, I think is where I want him to go. This might be the last creature on the list, and that is the graboids from Tremors. And the graboids are truly they're basically just worms, big old slugs or whatever. But I truly enjoy them. They're fun. They provide an interesting threat, and the movies are fun for the most part. I think the graboids are probably D tier because they're not that captivating, but I do think that they're probably top of it. All right, let's go ahead and get, I forget what this character's name is, but the character from Silent Night, Deadly Night. Oh, such a fun portrayal, such a fun character. He dresses up as Santa and kills people because Santa killed his parents or something, I think. I truly love the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. They're such B-movie gold. It's garbage day, as you know. He is a goofball. He is a goofy guy. He is a B-movie, so I'm going to put him in E tier, but do know that I love him. Let's go ahead and get the last Stranger Things villain I have, Vecna, in here. And I think that ultimately, I don't think Vecna is the most compelling monster villain from Stranger Things. I think he's enjoyable. I think he's fine. I think they were kind of trying to go with a more Freddy Krueger type villain this go around, but it didn't quite work for me fully. As a villain, he's intimidating, but I don't think like his look is that iconic. I don't think he himself is that iconic. I truly think that Vecna's probably a D tier guy for me. All right, I already said that I like him more than Michael Myers, but how much do I like Jason Voorhees? I don't know, actually. I'm figuring this out as I talk. I could have come up with like a solid plan beforehand, but that's not what I do. Jason Voorhees, I do truly enjoy. I truly love. I think that his movies can also be kind of boring, like the Halloween films. But I also think that eventually they get so campy and goofy that they're really fun. He encompasses a large span of good character, and I don't know how much I love him. I'm definitely going to put him above Michael. I think I might go ahead and put him up here. Here? Yeah, I think that's fair. Now we have the genie from Wishmaster. If you didn't watch my recent I Watched 50 Horror Movies video, then you don't know how much I love Wishmaster, and I love this fucking djinn. I love him. And honestly, I think probably A tier for me. I haven't seen the other Wishmaster movies, so honestly that might change if I watched them, but I truly think he's great. So I'm gonna leave him in A tier because I just really like him. All right, let's go ahead and get the Predator in here. Again, another one with a lot of movies, but I do think the Predator is really fun. And I love the idea of like a hunter that is just really well equipped. And I quite enjoy Predator a lot. It really depends on what movie you're talking about. Because, I mean, even if you're talking the most recent Prey, I fucking loved that movie. That was a great version of Predator. But I think Predator is probably going to stick in A tier for me. I think I might like Pennywise a little bit more just because I like characters that have more personality. Oh boy, it's Brahms the Boy. Kind of a hilarious couple of movies, honestly. I think they're really funny, and the best part about it is I always see people be like, oh, Brahms the Boy, hot, wood. And I'm like, I think Brahms the Boy is fun though. I don't know if I can. I think I think I have to put him in D tier. All right, and now I'm gonna do the Smile Demon from Smile and Smile 2. Unfortunately, I haven't seen Smile 2, but I actually did really love Smile. The creature design here, fucking absolutely incredible. Truly, hats off to the people that designed the Smile Demon because they nailed it. But even as an entity, when it's not seen in its like physical form, the Smile Demon is truly like such a great concept, I think, and I really enjoy it. And I think Smile Demon is going to be B tier for me. All right, and then last but certainly not least, we have kind of the last classic, and that is Leatherface. I haven't seen all of the Texas Chainsaw movies, but I know that they're good. And oddly enough, I did watch the most recent Netflix one. Let's just say it wasn't good, but it was really enjoyable. Except for that one character and all of her parts. You know who I'm talking about. I think Leatherface is a great villain. I think another A tier. I don't know where. I think that feels right. I think this list feels correct to me. I'm trying to like take a look at this and see if there's anything that I would like rearrange or change. And I'm not really sure I would. I think maybe the most I would do is move Candyman up to S, but I don't know. I feel like S is what I'm reserving for like my literal all-time favorites. And I truly love Candyman, but like when I compare him to the others in S tier, I don't think he's quite there yet. But I'm pretty proud of this list. And if you disagree with me, you know, I say it every time, you're wrong. No, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic. Some people have a hard time knowing that about me, but genuinely, if you like feel any different, let me know. I'm truly, I want to know like what your favorite horror villains icons are, because I truly love the genre. It's one of my favorite genres of all time, and I think that it's really special. And I mean, just fucking look at this list. Look at how varied and beautiful it is. I think it truly is special. We're all going to have our favorites, and we're all going to have our least favorites, and it's not a personal attack if I didn't like something that you really like, or if I did like something that you really dislike. It's just, this is what I like, you know, this is my own personal taste, and I'm curious to know what your personal taste is. And if there's anyone that I missed, please let me know. Because I kind of just, I struggled to put this together, but you know, I did do it. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.